Welcome to Can Angels Fly Tarot. I'm Nancy. And today I'm here to share my moment, one of my moments of enlightenment. Why do I feel the need to share my moment of enlightenment with you, the viewer? It is because recently, I apologize. I guess it's dark outside and it's dark in the house. So maybe just the mildest change in the light is causing the camera to shift. And I also ask you to forgive me and just ride the wave with me. I've been sick and just got out the hospital. But I'm doing better. The reason why I want to share my moment of enlightenment, this moment of enlightenment, is because I'm at this point in time in my service to humanity and to you. I want to help you see or help you have the ability to identify when you are being taught something by divinity, by life. And in order to do so, all I can do is share my experiences. I've said here on YouTube before that it's no way I can go back over all of my life experience and show you what I learned, how I got to where I am reading. Yeah, it was a car went past, caused the camera to color to adjust lighting to change. Again, I apologize. But there's no way I can go back over my whole life experience and share it with you to show you how it brought me to where I am as far as, oh, is it going to come back on? As far as reading tarot and astrology and everything else I'm into or have been into in my life. But I can share what's currently happening in my life. I've become very aware, receptive, and aware of the experiences that I have now that I'm older, now that I've gone through it in my past. So, how do I see it? I got sick about 2 days ago, and I thought that my hernia, abdominal hernia, re-ruptured, and it's severe pain. So I attempted to do what I usually do when I become uncomfortable. I rest, I bind myself, etc., etc. This time it wasn't working. So today I got up, I made a doctor's appointment yesterday. Oh, come on, camera. Okay. I made a doctor's appointment yesterday, and today I go to attend that doctor's appointment. And when I get there, the doctor agrees that it is possible that my hernia has re-ruptured for the third time. And so I'm like, okay, whatever you got to do, because I was in just that much pain. It's difficult for me to tell the story because it's synchronicities that exist relative to the story. So I'm going to try. If it just ride with me, I'm going somewhere with this story. I'm cutting it off. I'm going back because I need to draw the line with these synchronicities. Oh, really? About 4 days ago, I went grocery shopping. And I bought me some beef hot dogs. And my son and daughter-in-law took my hot dogs. So I really hadn't eaten in 3 days because I was fixated about them hot dogs. I had been planning and planning and planning and planning. And so, how can I say, yeah? So I would eat because I wanted those hot dogs. I'm going somewhere with it. Really, I am. And it's going to reveal to you, come on, lighting. Really. Okay. that thing. Okay, I'm gonna leave it on. There it goes. And so I finally go into the kitchen. I was like, well, I'm gonna eat one of my hot dogs. And when I go in there, I find it out there not there. So I'm pissed. I'm angry. So I refused to eat. I just sat up and drank coffee after cup of coffee after cup of coffee, like whatever. Then my stomach started hurting me. And I did end up, like a day and a half later, eating a few wingdings, and drinking water, a few wingdings, and drank my coffee. But I just couldn't cook a full meal nor eat because I wanted my hot dogs. That's how fixated I was on those hot dogs. And so I bring that up because by the time I got to the doctor's office today, I hadn't eaten in almost 48 hours. So I get to the doctor's office. I'm in pain. And at the time, I'm not thinking, about me not eating over almost a 2-day period. I'm not thinking about that. I'm in pain. I'm drawing the line between synchronicities, my moment of enlightenment, and life as a teacher. And I'm sharing this for the purpose of you yourself being able to identify when you are being taught by divinity. So my story continues. So when I get to the doctor, as mentioned, the doctor agrees that it is possible that my hernia has ruptured. So they rush me from my doctor's office down to the emergency department. And once I'm starting to feel hunger by this time. But they're processing me into the emergency room. And as they're processing me, I'm starting to feel hunger, remembering that I haven't eaten. And I'm also, at the same time, every time I think about eating, I think about the hot dogs. I was fixated on these particular beef hot dogs. And so I'm like, okay, and it was so deep. It's so many different lessons in this experience. And I know it sounds so silly and so superficial, but that's how divine works with us, because many of us, like myself, are very superficial, narcissistic folks. Me too. I am. I'm guilty. And so I'm just fixated and preoccupied with the hot dogs. Every time I think about eating, my mind immediately reverts back to the hot dogs and how I can't get them because my son and his wife have taken them and ate my god dang a doodle hot dogs. I'm mad as hell. And so I'm in the hospital. I'm in so much pain. They are processing me into emergency. They've taken me from the clinic or family practice to the emergency room. They're processing me in. I'm bent over in pain. The hunger is starting to bite me now because it's been over 48 hours since I've eaten. And then as I think about the hunger, even through the pain, I immediately go back to those hot dogs, and it makes me very angry. I was very, very angry. And then I'm like, I don't want to eat nothing anyway. And so going into maybe about the 60th hour, I'll say, without food. Now I'm real hungry. The hospital has given me some pain medication to control the pain, so so they could do their what do you call it, diagnosis by running labs and CAT scans and all these kind of things to see if the hernia has ruptured again. And so the first dose of medicine they gave me didn't work. The pain was that tremendous, it didn't work. Anyway, let me try to cut the story short. I done gave y'all all of that. I'm laying on the hospital bed. The pain is not as excruciating because now I'm not moving. I'm very still. I started dozing off to sleep, and this, I'll say spirit guide, you know, makes it known that I was learning a lesson, spiritual lesson. So I'm going to try to explain the spiritual lesson that I was taught that brought me to the moment of enlightenment. Let's see. I'm having a hard, oh gosh, I did it again. I'm having a hard time sharing and discussing because, again, I'm narcissistic. I really am, and egotistical. And I have noticed that there are other people that seem to be mimicking some of the stuff I share, and it's a bit insulting. But then I'm going to tell y'all this, I'm just interjecting this to let you know why it's hard for me to speak many times. That's part of it. I have to try to humble myself because I understand that divinity is not just talking to me, and I'm not extraordinary. And so I be having to humble myself because I know he's talking, divinity is talking to us all, teaching us all. And so some of the messages that we get may be the same, even around the same time. And that's the explanation for me being able to run into other testimonies that are exactly like mine. Interesting. Anyway, excuse me. And I say that because I'm like, whenever I get here on YouTube, I need to be able to speak more proficiently about whatever subject matters or testimony that I'm giving, so that any viewer will know that I first shared the story. You know, narcissism. That's narcissism. But in case there are some copycats, you know, I just want to know what. I'm just rambling, y'all. I'm not feeling good. I'm getting it together, though. So I'm going to stop rambling. I'm going to stop rambling and complaining and worrying about those other superficial things. And go into me getting to the moment of enlightenment. So I'm laying in the bed, and the pain is beginning to pick up again. And now I'm hungry, so now I'm going into 72 hours without food now. So I'm really going through it. I'm going through it. And so many synchronicities. I should have wrote a skit. I just be trying to talk sometime, just so y'all get to know me. And so I'm going into about the 72nd hour with no food, and the pain has intensified over the last 24 hours. And so 72 hours later, I'm in the hospital, I'm in pain, and I'm hungry. I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, everything. You know, they won't let me eat because they thinking they might have to do surgery or something like that. And so I'm like, okay. It was strange that my mind just kept going back to those hot dogs every time the hunger pains announced themselves. I immediately went back to those hot dogs and got angry, and then it was amazing. That's all I can tell you, because it was this back and forth thing I was doing. It was nuts. And I realized, I knew it was nuts, but I was justifying it. I was okay with it, because how dare they inconvenience me? Because had they not taken, this is my line of thought, had they not taken my hot dogs 48 hours ago, I would have ate a beef dinner-sized hot dog, and I wouldn't be hungry, going on 72 hours without food. So how dare they? So I was pissed, I was angry, and I was hungry. And now I'm in the hospital, not knowing I was going to end up there. And now I can't eat. Let me see if I can make that make sense. 72 hours before this moment I'm speaking about, I refused to eat. Why? because I was mad as heck that my son and his wife took my beef dinner franks and didn't say anything. And when I went for them, they weren't there. When I realized that my beef dinner franks weren't there, I refused to eat. Every time I thought about eating, I immediately got very, very angry about them taking my stuff. Whether it was accidental or whatever, I was pissed. Is that stupid and simple and just immature? Yes, it was. And yes, it is. But what I'm trying to share is that I was being exposed to myself. I was on the verge of receiving a divine message, that moment of enlightenment. And that's why that episode about the hot dogs is so specific, important. Excuse me. My stomach been messed up ever since. And so I bring the hot dog episode up because it was 72 hours. First, I refused to eat because I couldn't have what I wanted, what I had planned for. Very arrogant and egotistical, narcissistic, and unforgiving. That was me, over some doggone hot dogs. So, divinity ended up taking me unexpectedly to the hospital in a poor state, in a poor physical state. And you know when you go in emergency, they don't let you eat. So, what am I saying? I went from purposefully not eating because of my attitude to a point 72 hours later that I was not permitted to eat because it looked like I was going to have to go to emergency surgery. I'm going somewhere with this, if I can just make it make sense. The next thing is the possibility that my hernia had ruptured was a great concern. Why? Because it's already ruptured twice, and this would have been the third time. So the doctor immediately took me from the family practice to the emergency, contacted the surgeon in preparation to go in once again. And so at first they weren't even giving me pain medicine, and until they really understood what was going on. So I'm suffering pain. And then they finally gave me something, and I think it was a placebo because it didn't help. Why is that significant? It's significant because I realized in that moment in which I didn't have the medicine, then they gave me something that seemed like it was a doggone placebo and it didn't help, is that, how can I say it? The hot dogs, me wanting those hot dogs, me needing the pain medication, were answers to my physical wants and needs, my desires. I desired just those hot dogs. And I desired the best pain medication to do what? Satisfy my physical body. The food, the hot dogs, would have satisfied my physical desire to satisfy my palate, where the medication was a simple answer to alleviate my physical excruciating pain. Just that simple. I could have been pacified. However, divinity is a clever entity. But rather than allowing me to be satisfied, oh, please stop. Rather than, I'm doing this because I think I'm triggering the camera. Rather than divinity or life, really, allowing me to be pacified or satisfied. Come on, light. What is it doing? Okay. Rather than that, it's like divinity had life schedule me out a plan to make sure that I hadn't consumed anything to the point that I would recognize it and acknowledge it. It's as if divinity had life schedule me to have pain without ceasing to the point that I would recognize it and acknowledge it. Why is that important? Because both of those denials, the hot dogs and the pain medication, were they were the source of the life lesson. They were the tool to me gaining enlightenment. So, how can I say it? Maybe I can just say at this point what enlightenment I received as I laid there hungry, as I laid there in pain. I have to say this, that, see, I got to stop and revert back even further over the last few weeks. And just point out the last few weeks, I really became aware that the state of my mind has changed. It is somewhat, how can I describe it? It's almost like, I want to say it's almost like it's empty. Like a person becomes numb, but I know that I'm not numb. I feel, I'm sense, I'm experiencing, but it's a disconnected type of state that I'm experiencing. Highly aware, highly active, but I don't have the emotional attachment to life and experiences at this point in time. And it's for a reason, and that's what I'm aware of. And part of what it is attached to helped to lead to the enlightening moment I had last night, I'll say, or earlier this evening. So what was I just saying? I'm saying that my mind, the mind as far as connected with the spirit, is in this space of experience and acceptance. And I'm thankful for it, because with it, it is not this anticipation or expectation. It's a really easy, laid back, like I said, active, aware, and can be very responsive, but it's not fueled or followed by passion or rage or anything like that. It's almost like I'm just witnessing, like, okay, the answer's okay. Except, which was interesting, this is the contradiction. When it came to those hot dogs, and it's as simple as it sounds, how divinity works with simple things, is why I keep bringing up those hot dogs, because just in the moment of the thought, even though that's where I describe my mind has been as far as mind related to spirit, when that happened with the hot dogs, just the thought of even eating made me angry because of that experience. Now that's interesting, because that's contradicting what I'm telling you about my mind. I'm trying to go somewhere with it. See, when spiritual things happen, I think we miss them too because we can't fully articulate what is happening with words and have it in order because it's all happening simultaneously, is intertwined, all these kind of things. And so I'm trying to pull it apart and present this whole thing as separate parts that created a whole. So let me go and talk about all that I see. It was all taking place simultaneously at the same time, unaware of what the next thing is going to be or unfold or what's going to happen. Just living life, you know. You hear me say it's like watching paint dry. You're just going through the motions of life, and that's what I was doing. That's what I've been doing. But the light had happened. So I'm laying in the emergency room, balled up, in pain and hungry. Haven't eaten in 72 hours, been in excruciating pain for nearly, I'll say, 20 hours. And it is peaking. They had given me something, but it didn't help. That's what I said. I think it was a placebo. So I'm laying there, and I'm like, okay. In that moment, I felt ease. Ease. And so I experienced my essence, my soul, I'll say, based on my physical experience. It was like this pendulum. What was the pendulum swing? From the pain to the hunger. Pain and hunger, both physical situations. And so it's swinging from the pain and to the hunger. And what I realized is that my mind was pretty separate from my body. Yes, my body was hurting. It was ailing. It was very painful. And yes, my brain was aware that I was hurting. It was. But at the same time, my mind was separate, as if it was witnessing this pain. And the same stood true as far as the hunger. I was very hungry, and like I said, my brain was directly attached to every time I thought about eating, even though I was to the point of wanting to bite somebody. It still went back to the hot dogs and me being angry, and I'm hungry, and now I'm really mad because if they hadn't took my stuff, I would have been an 8 and I wouldn't be in this situation right now because it wouldn't have been no damn 72 hours since I ate. So, but yet my mind or my higher state was totally emotionally detached from it. And in that moment, the enlightenment was, it was a, what can I say? It made evident that my mind, number one, is greater than my body and any physical needs or wants that I may have in this physical vessel. It got to the point where I was so irritated with the pain and the hunger that I literally transcended into the mind state, that it was aware again of the hunger and the pain, but in the mind I was not feeling it. I wasn't feeling it. Let's say some of these things are so hard to explain, and I can't say that was the first time that was the case. It wasn't that was the first time, but this was the first time that I became fully aware of the experience while I was having it. And so I was talking about how a higher self came and spoke with me while I was there, or divinity, and was like letting it be known. That's what I knew in the moment that I was having I was learning a life lesson, not just life lesson, it's life as well as spiritual lesson, and coming to understand what each of them are, which what spirit is versus physical, and their relationship, and that they're also separate. How do I describe this experience? Because now what I don't want, maybe if I tell you what I don't want, it'll make it make sense. Now, in the moment, I found that I had transcended the hunger and the pain. Now, when I talk about the hot dogs and stuff, that can kind of be laughed at. But the reality is, when people are really hungry or starving or extremely cold, when their physical body is threatened or made vulnerable by the elements or whatever the case may be, or the lack of satisfaction or whatever the body wants, it can become a state of torment. And what am I saying? That people can get stuck and have to deal face to face with those that inability to satisfy the physical body, whatever it is. In my case, it was hunger and pain. What am I saying? At that particular time, when there was no medicine given to me that could help with the pain, when I was still hungry, that I could have been trapped in that. And I was in that state for, I'd be in the emergency room as they was getting ready to admit me for hours. So I would have been stuck in that state for hours of what? Hunger. 72 hours plus ticking. Pain. Clicking. On, and it had been going on for hours, almost a day. It was just getting worse and worse and worse. And this is another thing I have to share, synchronicities and how things connect. At the same time, I'm in my room going through this phase, this bout of hunger and pain, and basically I done transcended past it, and I'm in the mind, and it's this lady, and the lady is hollering, and she hollered for hours, and she was in pain, and she hollered and hollered, and I was like, wow. But Divinity, as I shared, was there speaking with me, and he made me aware, because the lady had been hollering, but Divinity made me aware of her suffering and her torment. And what am I saying? Based on what I picked up, what I believe I picked up, Divinity was saying that, look, that woman was an example of a person being in their suffering in the physical and can't get no satisfaction for her physical ailment. And so she's suffering, she's tormented. Where Divinity was showing me that he or it has walked me to this place where I'm able to transcend out of my physical self, while in there, while in my physical body, transcend out of the physical self, like in the time of a traumatic point for the physical body into the mind. What am I saying? Many of you ask me, how did I get where I am? Basically, what gives me the right to do what I do? And I try to share how it took me a whole lifetime to walk here. No, I didn't go get no credentials from no guru or whomever here or whoever there. No, it was life. I tell y'all, life walked me. This is the same thing. And so it was, best I can kind of describe it, was like this moment of graduation. And at the graduation, it was this moment of awareness. Now, something I got to do about that anger and them hot dogs. I still got to deal with that. So right now, I ain't even going to try to address that because that's a whole different thing. But it was just that Divinity was allowing me to see that the state that my mind had been in, that I've been telling you it's been in, was intentional. And I did have some concerns. I kept saying, what is this space? You know, like people talk about meditating and clearing their mind. That's where I've been. I'm walking clear-mindedly or something like that in this very, you know, like they say, when you meditate, let the thoughts come and go. And that's what it's been, and it's just been automatic. You know, I'm not trying to push them or anything like that. Come and go. Actually, I've tried to retrieve thoughts or pull things in and get focused. So I was wondering what it was, you know, the state of mind, how my mind is now functioning. And then when the experience happened earlier this evening at the hospital, Divinity answered my question and concern, which was that I had graduated to a level of being able to transcend physical into the mind, or allow the mind, you could say, to control the situation, which is interesting because I didn't feel like my mind was controlling anything. The hunger was still there, and the anger associated with the hunger was still there. The pain was still there. But yet my mind was separated from the pain. The hunger was still taking place. The anger was still taking place. The pain was still taking place. But my mind transcended like it was outside of it as what? A witness, a watcher. And the answer was like, okay. It's hard for me to describe. Now, what I did realize after Divinity revealed to me what I was experiencing, you know, I was like, look here, this is my concern. I've been in pain for 2 years straight before, and I don't ever want to go through it again. And so I really don't care. This is the flesh talking. This is my physical body in existence talking. I don't never want to hurt no more. I don't want to be hungry. You know what I'm saying? I understand that, Divinity, you have trained me to be able to transcend. You know what I'm saying? I know I've transcended many times in my life. I can recall the lessons now. Fasting, when I don't let the fat fool you. I done rolled, don't let it fool you. That's another thing we need to learn. Don't let things fool you. And so I have transcended things, or gone through various transformations, and have developed the ability to transcend the trauma. I'm not talking about push it to the back of your mind and not be aware or not deal with it. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about literally transcend. And my concern is I don't want life to give me none of that. I don't want, even if I had ability to transcend, because this was another thing I noticed. As I was in the hospital, yes, I had transcend, but the physical is like an anchor, and it kept trying to pull my consciousness back into the experience of the hunger and of the pain. And I would just snatch it back, my consciousness, and it set up again as a witness. It transcended, it was above. And I felt this, I could feel it, I could see it, and the physical spirit of who I am, the hunger and the pain, kept reaching up, trying to grab me and pull me back down, where that woman that was constantly screaming for hours and hours because she was in pain nonstop. So, I don't know if I explained that correctly, but it was something else. I'm not done yet, but I'm not going to stay too much longer. Every time I make a video, I don't write notes, I forget, like, dang, that was important. Same old. So, back to my physical body wanting to be satisfied. It wanted to be pacified. And this is another thing that I've been talking to Divinity about for some time. I was like, Lord, if I'm in this world, why can't I have what I want? That's what this world is about. It's satisfying the physical. So, I don't appreciate that. That's how I talk to. And so that was also addressed during this experience. And it was like this. Yes, Nancy, yes, your hunger can be satisfied with food. And then that's where it went into the issue about me being fixated and stuck on those hot dogs. See, that fixation, and it's so much synchronicity attached to that. I could make a whole nother video about the hot dogs and the whole thing. The hot dogs are really insignificant. They're only significant to the lesson that was to be learned. Oh, excuse me. I'm all the medicine they gave me now. So, yeah, when it was time to find the time for me to go, they gave me something. Decided not to admit me. Okay, so, as Divinity was saying to me, yes, Nancy, as far as your hunger or your desire, because it was a desire for those beef franks, yes, you can have them, and your physical body will be pacified. Sure enough. And Nancy, yes, the doctors can give you everything they got. Some morphine, some codeine, some oxycodone, whatever the case may be. And your pain would subside. Yes, it will. But the truth of the matter is, now this is Divinity kicking it with me, and this ain't exactly how Divinity said it, but very close to it. God dang it, don't do it. It was like, you would never, it was saying, you would back to the lady that was screaming, you'll be a slave to the physical. And all you want is to keep pacifying every whim of your physical. What Divinity walked me to accomplish, that transcendent state, looses me or any other person that gets to that level of being able to transcend the physical in order not to be caught up like by the devil's card, that kind of thing. And you say anytime your physical can be pacified, but is never completely satisfied. Never. It's an unending, bottomless pit. Your physical will never be satisfied. And so it's important for you, Nancy, and others, of course, to be able to transcend outside or beyond the need to satisfy one's physical wants, longings, or desires. Like, even, I don't even understand what this is going on. Yeah, that way. No, this way. I don't know. And I don't know if I could possibly make sense about transcending the desires of the flesh. That's what it was really about. Transcending the desires of the flesh. Yes, you can have what you want. Oh, and then it was this other thing about, like for instance, this was another thing. It's hard to explain, but when I was in pain. Now, when I was in pain, remember, they gave me something. It didn't help. I really believe it was a placebo, but okay, it didn't help. But all the time, Divinity is talking to me, and it lets me know that, I guess the best example I can give is that a person can be in a position that I am or worse, and they're not allowed by this system or this world to have medications. That was probably the placebo, now that I think about it. It really was. because of the message that came, and I wasn't putting it together because I was in pain a little bit there. That there are certain people that will not be allotted because of the biasness of man in the flesh. They won't get the medicine. They won't get the right medicine. They won't get the appropriate medicine. They won't get it when they need it. And so they'll be stuck, screaming, being tormented in the physical because their body is hurt and broken or whatever the case may be, and they're being tormented. Why? Because they're in the physical. Where, like that woman was constantly screaming. And divinity is in no way at all, attempting to or desiring to leave us to the whims of man, because they're corrupt, evil, self-centered, narcissistic, all those things. Very, very dark, demonic, and selfish. And so the lesson that I learned, I didn't learn it in the day, but it was executed in this day. So, and not only executed, it was executed in a way that I would see. I say it was multiple things going on. And what am I seeing? Divinity, the highest expression of whatever exists that does have some concern for us, is not, it just seems like it's not really trying to leave us out here for the wolves to eat up. The transcendence I speak of is a power, a gift, the superpower that divinity trains a person in the way of, in order to execute, so that they, excuse me, don't have to be controlled by a biased human. And this is common. We hear about these, or we see, traditionally we would see the monks being able to walk on coals. That was transcendence, because I'm sure them feet that was on the coals wanted cold water or to get off. They would not allow their their feet to be satisfied. They wouldn't let the fire underneath their feet be quenched. So I understand now it was about transcending the mind outside of that. You are still there. The fire is still burning. It's still burned. And it even lined up with the scriptures. The scripture, something like this. Somehow how I think somebody, Jesus took the sting out of death. Makes sense now. It makes sense. And as I mentioned early on in this live stream, this is not the first time I've done that. But I didn't understand the significance of it. And sometimes when you hear me give tarot readings, say you'd have had a life experience, like the Fool card in reverse or something like that, or the Fool card or the Magician card in reverse, you've had the life experience and you didn't even learn. I've done it. I've been there before, but I didn't learn. I didn't understand. Today was a graduation day, or last night was a graduation night. Now I understand what the experiences that I've had in my life were about and what they were teaching me. And for what purpose. My concern is, I'm happy for the lesson, I got that, but I am not interested in going through any excruciating, traumatic experiences because of another human being who is dark, evil, narcissistic, and controlling and manipulative. I don't want that. However, you know, you never know what's going to happen in this life. But in some way that scares me, because I mean that's definitely a nice arsenal or tool to have, like the magician. However, it's scary to think that divinity is giving that up for a future time. You know, a future time. That's deep. Anyway, I hope I shared. And what was I doing in this live? I mean, this not live stream, this video. I was just sharing how divinity walked me through a whole life experience, as well as a life experience for the purpose of spiritual development. to say, and how it has been going on for years and years. But last night was the graduation period. And how do I know it's the graduation period? Because not only did I have the life experience that has developed my spiritual understanding and technique, abilities, powers. It also has, this time, I understood it, I'm aware. You know, I can put it in words, not to, you know, clean or accurate, but, I mean, it's accurate, but, you know what I'm saying, it's not very organized, my sharing. But, yeah, I mean, so, I do believe at this point in time, through what I'm experiencing, is that it's time for us to be able to identify the gifts and powers that are being bestowed upon us. I don't believe they are the gifts and powers that we thought they would be. And then I am limited by my experiences. I only move on my experiences. For me, this is for real, for real. And so a lot of times I'll be rambling and falling over my words, double talking, because I really don't, it's hard for me to say, you know, what I'm experiencing. Excuse me. It's hard for me to say what I'm experiencing. But I also know that I can't run ahead. I also know I can't run ahead. Integrity. And the only way I can maintain integrity is not to run ahead. And what I mean run ahead, I run ahead of divinity, because she come through and deliver a whole lot of stuff when it's ready, you know, or whatever it wants to deliver at any given time. And that was it. And that's what I'm seeing. I saw it. I saw it clear. Well, I didn't have a choice but to see it clear. It was right there talking to me. So I'm like, okay, I got that. And I experienced it. And I've talked about the experience, just experiencing divinity, or that which is greater, that is unseen. Oh, this medicine makes me sick now. Oh, and so I guess I'll end by saying this. Did I ever eat? I didn't eat. I came home and made a cup of coffee, which I haven't even finished, and that's what's upsetting my stomach. I never ate. The hunger, by the time they decided they weren't going to keep me, that's what they said. First, God dang it. First they said it was extensive, and they were going, you know, they thought it was extensive. They did all the tests and stuff. They had planned to, what do you call it? Enroll me in the hospital. What you call it? Enroll me. You know what I'm talking about. And then, after I went through all this experience that I've shared with you, then all of a sudden they come back and say, well, it's not as extensive as we thought it was, so we're not going to admit you into the hospital. And I'm like, what? I was like, okay. But I was like, okay. It almost seems like it was somewhat of a miracle cure or something. Right now, oh, and then another thing, again, I didn't eat. I didn't choose to eat anything. By the time I left, hunger was basically gone. And then they did end up giving me another medication, because I told them, I said, I don't know what that was that you gave me. I said, it almost seems like it was placebo. I said, I just didn't say anything because I didn't feel like arguing about it. And I figured y'all wouldn't give me nothing anyway. Plus, but I couldn't tell them, you know, I was talking to divinity. I ain't said all that. And so I already knew what was going on. So I just let it be and went through what I had to go through. And so by the end, when I made that statement, they went ahead and they gave me something. And since then, I mean, the pain, I don't feel anything anymore. Now, it's been about 4 hours, 3 or 4 hours. So, I don't know, and if another 8 hours or so, but I do feel nauseated. But I think that's from the coffee and not eating now. So, I'm going to let y'all go. I just wanted to share that because it was very, very interesting. And as I mentioned, I think we are in a time that we are beginning to, God dang on that, coming into activation and awareness of our powers, of our gifts that divinity has offered to us. Once again, I don't think the gifts that we are receiving are the gifts that we thought they would be. You know, you hear about all of these supernatural kind of Superman, Wonder Woman gifts, and I don't think that's the case. I've told you, I've been sharing here on YouTube what my powers or gifts are. And I'm not going to say that they're going to stop there, you know, across the board. And when I say across the board, I'm talking about humanity. I don't think it's going to stop there. They can go and transcend into, like, people think about super people power, your powers. But I think we're a little ways off from that, even if that's going to take place. I don't think it'll be a lot further than now, more than 5 years from now. But I do see the foundation of superpowers coming online. And it's not just for me, it's for other people. But I can't testify to other people and how they came into it or recognizing them and those kind of things. It's amazing if you really stop, if you really look, if you really pay attention. Another thing that is happening, I keep saying I'm going to let y'all go, but now I'm going to just start ranting, Aquarius rant is that I also known that I've talked about in my videos the Great Divide, the shifting of people into various brackets too, which I've been able to identify through my studies, and that is, come on, why is that happening? Is the people that will be in the old paradigm as well as the new paradigm, and then there is an element of good versus evil, we can say, or good and evil. I don't think it's versus. It is what we deem good or wholesome or righteous versus that which is evil or narcissistic and self-centered. I am seeing that take place, and it is that I've talked about too, and I do believe that's what the full blood red moon was bringing up and talking about. And it's like making it known that people are so living in fear. Remember, I was talking about how the physical experience I had in the hospital between hunger and pain. People are in fear that their physical wants and needs are not going to be met, and not having the superpower of being able to transcend mentally, which is really spiritually, being present in the body, but being a witness rather than being truly a experiencer, more of a witness than an experiencer, is absolutely terrifying to people. And the truth of the matter is, we people are not thinking like that. We people are not even aware for the most part. And I look at it in awe, because when you see, like, I brought up the ancient ancient Tibetan people, the Tibetan culture. You know, they're supposed to be synonymous with being, again, walk on the hot coals and sit for hours, and their body be exposed to extreme things and in forms of meditation and in moments of, I mean, it was real. It was real. And so I don't know how they were the ones that got to go, you know, get in touch with this stuff early on. I guess every culture is over something and responsible for something, and making sure that it always exists in this world. But it really exists. And that's so amazing to me. But if, oh, excuse me, y'all. Excuse me, my stomach going through it. I might have to eat something, but I ain't eating nothing now because my appetite gone. So, if we're coming to, if we're like me, I'm just, excuse me, I'm just coming to know, not think, know, because I'm experiencing what you experience, to know. Coming to know. And I also know that it was not a general understanding or a general practice. What am I talking about? Being able to transcend, you know, transcend. And that's just one gift I'm talking about. I did do a video a few months back talking about how well, our superpowers were coming online. Yeah, I don't even remember which video it was. But it did talk about our superpowers coming online. And so this is, now I guess I got to categorize this as an Aquarius rant because I'm all over the place. I'm just kind of, you know, looking at what's taking place and how, because humanity has been preoccupied with the physical and have not dealt with their spirit man, spirit self, that in these times men feel very vulnerable in the physical realm. I see. And they aren't even aware of the spirit that dwells within them, nor that that spirit is what do you call it? In Christianity, it was talking about the helper, like the Holy Spirit. It's a help. It's assistant. And it's this connection between the person in the physical flesh and divinity, the creator. And the powers that the Bible spoke of were real. Oh my goodness, that's a whole nother video going into that old crazy Bible. But it gave straight up truth if you knew how to study it, which is interesting. Oh my. But people, what am I talking about? People did not get to know their spirit man and didn't get it exercised. And I'm sure it was fair ground. I'm sure it was fair game where divinity moved to exercise and teach each of us, because it was slow. It was a slow progression. It was like watching paint dry. You hear me say? It was like watching paint dry. I didn't even know it was happening. As I got older and the more experiences I had, I was like, this is intentional. You know, this is intentional. And then today, oh, I know. I can see 100%. There's no doubt, you know. But many people rejected. I apologize. I'm laughing at the Bible now because it said that people will reject me, and I'm not a Bible thumper or anything like that, but I do see the significance of it now after all the years. The Bible said, I think it was Christ said, the people will reject me. And so throughout people's life, they have rejected. I don't know if Christ is supposed to be there, but Christ is just a consciousness, it's awareness. Awareness of what? That you are more than your physical body, that you are a spirit being, and you are connected to all, you are connected to the source. And that's what people rejected. That's deep. That's deep. That's deep. I wonder, I don't feel like I ever had the option to reject, because it just kept happening over and over and over again. It was annoying. It's still annoying. Like even, well, yes, it's still annoying sometimes. It's just like, let up. I want to enjoy it. Like I told God in the hospital, I just want to enjoy this world. I said, I want to dive off into it. I said, I want to eat my hot dogs. You know, I want the good drugs and the dope so I can feel better. That's what it's about. But it's almost like he was saying, it's going to be a time that people won't get what they need or what they want, even though it's readily available. They won't get it. They will not get it. And what you going to do then? You're going to be totally crippled and devastated because your physical body cannot get it, and it will continue to suffer those pains, the birthing pains, the hunger pains, the physical ailment pains, and did I get it? And won't be able to transcend up out of it and just be stuck in it and tortured and tormented. That's some deep shit. Ooh, I'm sorry, that medicine they gave me has got me itching now, whatever it is. I don't know for real. They said when they put it in there, they said it was a small inflammation. Told me don't fry nothing. I was like, okay. But it was alright. That was deep. That was deep. I'm telling you, that was deep. So I can't wait to see the next few weeks. Did I miraculously heal something? Because excuse me. There's something going on still, but that's so. I excuse me for being rude and stuff. Yeah, it was deep. Today was a deep day, and I'm very appreciative for it. To just live in this world and do nothing, to have nothing is ridiculous, and not come out with nothing, and die and have to and maybe reincarnate back in here and ain't got no knowledge, no wisdom. That's a bit too much for me. I got to have that all. I got to have that all. You know, the physical world is wonderful. Wonderful. I know I'm just ranting, y'all. Physical world is wonderful. I've had some wonderful experiences in my life. From food and traveling and sex and love and family. And I mean, I've had it. But the truth of the matter is there have been those times that those things that I loved and I enjoyed, I couldn't have. For one reason or another, like it was a trick of the devil. And it was trying to torture me. But even then, I was transcending out of it and didn't even know it. But today, I got to know. Yeah, oh, man. How, I mean, I see divinity doing this stuff, this, and spreading this, and waking people up, and, oh, man, but that's deep. Oh, man, the stuff I'm seeing now, y'all, after today's experience. See, now, what can I say? In closing, I'm going to let y'all go now. After this evening's experience, the graduation, it opens up for me to see additional stuff now. Because, see, I couldn't see. But I just, what am I laughing about now? I keep telling y'all and let y'all go. But in the last live stream, I was taught, what was it about? You're receiving a divine download. It was called You Are Receiving a Divine Download. And one of the things it said, what was it? It just tickled. God dang it. What was I thinking about? And part of that live stream, as I interpreted the stars, it was saying you can only learn from and benefit from that which you've been exposed to in your life. And I was just chuckling. Oh, my stomach. I was just chuckling because I was just talking about all the life experiences I've had. Those things that were really good and pleasing that I wanted, that satisfied me in some physical way at some point in time, hit them rocky, hard places I was being taught. And it was so slow, it was like watching paint dry till I didn't realize I was being taught. And how right now, because I've gotten to where I am and had the graduation last night, excuse me, vulgar, but more room out than in. Let it move on. Excuse me. That because I have the experience, now I can see. Because it's offered me another filter, another lens, another angle of perspective. And it lined right up with that interpretation from the astrological reading for August 2018. You can only learn and benefit from that which you have been exposed to in your life. And exposure is not just exposure. Then I mean I missed something doing interpretation. It's also about being aware. Well, that's what it was about, taking account and being aware of what you have and that which has brought it into your life with experiences. So yeah, I didn't mess up. So yeah. And so the experience, I had already been having the experiences, but it was last night that I was aware. And Islam, like divinity, knew that I was aware. It was there, present, talking to me. Like, you got it, girl. You got it. That's deep. That's deep. Are you all having anything like this? Because I know it ain't me. I know this is something that has to do with humanity overall. This has to do with life and existence overall. Oh, this is so real. It's so real. So real. But as I said, I'm going to let y'all go. Hopefully I didn't forget nothing. I just wanted to share that. You know, look, I guess I'll title this August 2018 Aquarius Rambling Rant about something. Thank you for coming in. Taking Angels Fly Tarot and listen to me, Nancy, ramble and rant. Bye.